everybody. How you all doing? I want to do this video on gall, and this is specifically for roses that are coming in the mail with gall. A lot of bare roots. We're seeing a lot of activity about this, and that's what this is about. This is just some basic factual information of what you can do, what to look for, and of course, I'm going to have a guest with this, and that's going to be my very dear friend Mark Windham, who is, or Mr. Gall, as we actually like to call him. So, Mark, welcome.
Welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I've probably never been called Mr. Gall before, but that's how we're going to.
No, that took me back a little bit.
Well, good. If I took you back, then it's my day is complete. So as you've been seeing these posts on the forum, so let's say the first thing that happens, bare root roses show up. You obviously are told to inspect your bare root roses. What are some of the telltale signs that they've got gall on those bare root roses when they show up in the packaging?
Well, what you're going to look for is a growth on the side of a root that may be as small as a marble. They could be as big as a ping pong ball. They can be anywhere. They can be on the roots. They can be at the graft union. They could be also at the top of one of the prune canes.
Great. Okay, and we've been showing some photographs of what gall looks like that you gave me, which is absolutely wonderful. And I would say that, Mark, would you agree with the statement that if you get gall and you're not 100% certain, you should err on the side of caution and just assume it's gall?
Well, the first thing I would do is I'm old, so they're not expensive. I would get one of these,
There you go.
and I would look at it, and because often on roses the roots have been pruned when they're put in a mail order box. They've already been pruned. And so you'll start to get callus growing. But callus will start to produce little root tips out of the callus. And so if I'm looking with this and I see little root tips coming out of that mass of tissue, that tells me it's callus because callus will change into different tissues. Rose gall never changes into anything else.
That's a valuable tip. Okay, so that's the way to tell the difference between what's just a callus from a cut and and bare root roses, particularly the roots are cut to when they're
Yes,
harvested and shipped. So if they see like tiny little and get a magnifying glass, if they see tiny little roots growing out of it, that means it's a callus and not a gall. That's a great tip and indicator the way to do it. Okay, so now you have a rose. They've identified it with gall. One of the questions we see a lot is, okay, this rose has been bundled with a bunch of other roses in that box. Should they be concerned about the other roses in that box?
yes, they should be concerned. But that doesn't mean that you have to throw them away or send them back. But yes, you should be concerned. And the reason why is those roses are usually packed wet. And so there is a film of water. And in that box, those films of water get mixed. They get mixed from one root to the next. So the bacterium can move from one root to another root on a different rose in that film of water that's on the roots.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so if you have a bundle of roses shows up and one of them has gall or two of them have gall, you should take preventative measures. Now, the next step when you get bare root roses, of course, is to soak them in water. So,
Mm-hmm.
is there something they can add to the water I know not cure it because you and I have talked about this before. Is there something they can add to the water that would help the roses without that they don't think have gall prevent it from occurring?
There's a couple of options that are available. My preferred option is to use a uh, bacterial fire blight powder. And that's what it's called. It's called bacterial, it's called fire blight powder. And you can buy it at a garden center, a county co-op. If it's a big garden center that has a lot of different pesticides, what you're actually buying is streptomycin sulfate, which is an antibiotic. And so on the bottle or the container, it will usually say 1 tablespoon per gallon. And that's for fire blight to protect the blooms of apple trees and pear trees when they're in bloom from the bacterium getting in. And, but with crown gall, the recommended rate is 2 tablespoons of powder per gallon. So that's not on there, but it is labeled for it, but it won't be in bold on the front of it. Now, there are many different, it's not patented anymore. There are many different formulations and products that have streptomycin in it. Some of them will say streptomycin, some of them will say fire blight spray, some of them will say agrostrep. So, and any of them work. And all you do, and it's so simple, you just mix it to the water. You're going to soak the roses in, and just soak them. And before you take when you take the roses out, just turn it upside and let the canes get a little dip in that antibiotic too, and you'll be fine. And just plant those roses and don't worry about it.
That's great to know. Okay, good information. So what they're going to do is the roses show up. They do their inspection like they should do. They see a rose they suspect has gall. They identify it as gall as opposed to a callus, which you described already. They take the roses that show no signs of gall. They soak those in the fire blight product in the water, like you talked
Mm-hmm.
about. The rose that has gall, what should they do with that one?
Throw it away.
That's what I thought. But I just want to make sure we were
Now,
abundantly clear on that.
I, but when I say throw it away, I'm reluctant to compost it.
Good tip.
Okay. And the reason why I'm reluctant to compost it is the bacterium, if it gets into your soil, will persist there forever. Okay. So if you live out in the country and you got some woods beside your house and they don't drain back to where your garden is, just go toss it in the edge of the woods and be done with it. Otherwise, you may have to chop it up and put it in a garbage bag and put it in with your garbage. But we're only talking one plant.
Yeah, I think probably the best advice, which could I think just basically cut it up, bag it, get it in the garbage,
Yeah,
get it out of your
that's
property, get
that's
it
the
off your
easy
property.
route.
Yeah, get it off your property. I think that's probably the best. It's the safest thing to do. Let's take it in that route. I think that's a good way to go. The other thing you should do too before you actually destroy the rose itself is take pictures, send them to the vendor that you purchased the rose from, because vendors will guarantee their plants, and so make sure you do that and record. Get in their system extremely early that you have had an issue with this rose. So you make sure you do that and talk to the vendor and get pictures along it as well. So that's great. Now, Mark, a lot of roses are also coming as container roses. So now we've got a rose with a root ball and potting soil. How should they go about inspecting that rose for gall?
Well, you're limited on your options, but there are things that you can do. The first thing that you're going to do is look at the base of the plant in the container. Often crown gall is right at the surface of that rose in the container. So that's the first thing that I would do. The second thing is I'm looking at all the canes that have been pruned to make sure they're clear. And then the third thing is that when you pull that rose out of that container, any roots that are exposed that you can see, I wouldn't go digging in it and breaking the root ball up, but any roots that you can see on the sides or the bottom, inspect them for gall.
That's a great tip. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. So inspection is the key when your plant shipment shows up, be it bare roots or be it container. If look for gall, again, we had the photographs up that showed you telltale signs. Mark's giving you some great tips. Fire blight, soak them in water, and maybe if you're not even sure they have gall or not, soak them in the fire blight anyway. It's not.
It won't hurt. It won't hurt.
Yeah, it's a good preventative. It's like it's like cleaning your tools between cuttings. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world to do that. So we hope that this has given you some factual information on how to identify gall if it shows up, what to do about the gall when it does show up as well. And again, it's like anything with plants. Stuff happens, and it's no reason to stop growing the roses. Just contact the vendor. They should send you another plant that's clean, inspect it as always, and be careful in situations like that. And if you have more questions, Paul Zimmerman Roses Gardening is the place to go. Mark, again, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, I'm happy to be here.
Over and out.